The county has really concentrated on a number of issues related to animal services, and I wanted to make sure that the record was clear on all of the efforts that have gone into addressing a number of citizen concerns and rescue concerns about animal services. First, I want to say that I think a number of things were brought to light after the July 31st Animal Services Advisory Board meeting. And so almost immediately went into gear in terms of issues that were brought to the attention and needed to be addressed or requested to be addressed. And so at the August 21st Board of Commissioners meeting, the board approved 2 new part-time employees and did a 5% increase in pay for the animal services employees. During that time, we were also working on changes in the lobby, including adding a monitor and doing some changes in the way that animals were presented in terms of photographs. At the September 18th Board of Commissioners meeting, which was a really long meeting, if you all recall, at the end of that meeting during the county manager's time, the county manager gave a comprehensive update on the items that were being reviewed and addressed. One of the things we were working on all along was working on some website updates. At the October 2nd Board of Commissioners meeting, again, there was a brief update reminding everyone that work was continuing. On October the 6th, a press release was distributed about the Animal Services website updates, detailed information, and lots more. I think there was maybe about a page and a half of information originally. Now there's about 8 or 9 pages of information on the Animal Services website. Lots of helpful hints and details and instructions about adoptions and pets and pet care. At the 10/18 meeting, Board of Commissioners meeting, again, we mentioned the press release. We talked about continued efforts there. On October the 23rd, we had a meeting with a handful of rescue representatives to begin to talk through some issues and be very specific about some things. On October 30th, there was the quarterly Animal Services Advisory Board meeting. That started with a comprehensive overview of department responsibilities. That was not a topic that had been covered for that entire Animal Services Advisory Board, and so needed to make sure that the board, and for the benefit of the public, understood all of the things that go on in animal services. The things that are happening in animal services are certainly about the animal shelter and adoptions, but they're also about public health and about public safety. And so lots of things were happening in the department. Also at that October 30th, we announced more changes, new hours, Facebook album changes, opportunity for the public to come into the kennels and see the animals. The very next day, we sent out a comprehensive press release on October 31st that detailed the items that we talked about at the October 30th meeting. So continuing to chip away at this, on November the 6th, asked the Board of Commissioners to accelerate the hiring of the animal care technician position that was scheduled to be available to hire on January 1st. Asked that that be accelerated so that that hire could happen in November, and that was approved. We also respected the request of rescues because there was a suggestion to reduce the adoption fees, and several rescue representatives said, hey, can we talk about that a little bit more? And so we tabled that. The board agreed to table that discussion and continue to talk about that. On November the 9th, there was a specific half-day training for animal services officers that our county attorney conducted. Again, recognizing things that need to happen in the department and specifically addressing those things. Had another meeting on November 15th with rescue representatives and have a meeting scheduled in December to continue those discussions. And I guess I'll also comment in the list of items that we've been working on, there's a phrase that's used that says under review. That means under review by the county, but also under review and seeking input as needed from rescues as we figure out what's going to make the most sense going forward. And all of this revolves around resources. And so all of these things have been going on while at the same time a large volume of public records requests have been coming in for the department. And so we are looking at ways to satisfy some of those records requests in the sense of, are there some other ways that we can report information so that we can ensure that that things are being shared. Additionally, we're looking at animal introduction areas, outside fencing, ways that we can have more spaces for people to interact with pets when they're deciding, or am I gonna adopt this pet? Is this pet gonna fit into my family? The biggest challenge right now is filling the positions. Essentially 4 positions have been approved in animal services to be hired, new positions. So we've got to get those positions filled, and we've got to get those people successfully trained. And that takes a little bit of time for all of those details to come together. And those are the resources that it really takes, the hands that it takes to make some of these things happen. The volunteer program has been widely discussed and definitely worked on. We have details of what to do internally when a volunteer comes on board. We've drafted materials for an application to be a volunteer, things to promote that. But we need to get the positions filled so that we literally have someone to manage and train the volunteers and make this happen. And so that's not an immediate sort of thing. It can't happen in a week or two. You won't hear about in December, at the December meeting, you won't hear that, yes, this is the date we're kicking it off, because it's going to take a little time for it to be successful. The last thing we want to do is start a program that people aren't properly trained at, and then it becomes more difficult to move forward with it. Those are very, very important things we've been working on, and of course the backdrop to all of that is efforts to fund spay and neuter. That is an ongoing effort, a review of resources and places where we can seek funding, but seeking funding with the appropriate guidelines that come along with it. We have had situations where funds have been offered, but it doesn't necessarily fit all of the guidelines that we have. And so we have to be very, very careful about those things. And the county attorney has to review them. We have to look at them from that perspective. Another last comment I'll make is that adoption hours were expanded but shifted. And I think that has been successful. I know that there has been success with shifting the Wednesday from 12 to 3 down to 2 to 6. And the opportunity to expand those hours, as I've said before in my updates, these issues are both short-term and long-term. We can make some short-term changes and see if they work, see what kind of progress is needed, and then we can determine what things need to change for the long-term. And so those long-term changes happen once we get resources in place, once we get people properly trained, once we make sure that we're moving in a direction that is successful. And if we're not moving in a direction that's successful, then we need to ease back and figure out what will be successful. So I believe, I know that there's a demonstrated commitment on the part of the county and on the part of the Board of Commissioners to address these issues. And I hope that things are being seen that way, and that we can continue a successful dialogue to make positive changes for all that's happening in animal services. So thank you, Vice Chairman Bunn, for giving me the opportunity to provide that update.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.